What are rational numbers? Rational numbers are numbers that can be expressed in ratio of two integers. Now, for example, you can have your 3. This can be expressed in the ratio of two integers, which is equal to 3 over 1. This is a fraction. Rational numbers can be expressed in fraction. This is an integer. This is another integer. This is an integer. 1 is an integer. Now, a rational number is a number that can be expressed in the ratios of two integers. Now, let me give you another example. This is a rational number. 7 over 3 is also a rational number. Now, if you look at 7 over 3, you can still have equivalent of 7 over 3, which is 14 over 6 or 21 over 9. These are all rational numbers because they can be expressed in ratios of integers. Now let's ask ourselves this question: can negative numbers be called rational numbers? Yeah, they can. Now, for example, if you have -4. -4 is a rational number because you can express -4 as a ratio, -4 over 1. And sometimes when you have equivalent of this, it could be -8 over 2. -8 is an integer, 2 is an integer. This is also a rational. Also, you can have some decimal value as a rational number. For example, when you have something like 2.25, you can express 2.25 in fraction, and that will be 225 over 100. This is an integer, this is an integer, this is a rational number. And sometimes we have some values in fractions that can be continuous. For example, when you have values like 2 over 3, 2 over 3, most cases you have something like 0.666, like that, and most of the time you approximate the one in front and it goes like that. This is also a rational numbers because it can be expressed in fraction as a ratio of two integers. Now, looking at what I've given, those examples I've given, now you'll be able to identify rational numbers. We have example, they must be, you must be able to express those numbers in ratios. Rational numbers. Now let's move on to irrational numbers. Now, what are irrational numbers? Irrational numbers are numbers that cannot be expressed in ratio of two integers. They cannot be expressed as the ratios of two integers. Now, I have some examples here. Pi is an irrational number. We have Euler's number, it is an irrational number. Then we have golden ratio is an irrational number. And another example is the square root of all natural numbers except for perfect squares are irrational numbers. Now, if you remember, I explained my rational numbers to be numbers that can be expressed as a ratio of two integers, and here are the example. But irrational numbers are numbers that have their value or their numbers as a decimal that cannot terminate. You are looking at this number for pi. This is a constant. It can't terminate. It is continuous. For Euler's numbers too, it is continuous. For golden ratio, this is golden ratio. It is continuous. Golden ratio, this is also continuous. Now, looking at this, these are irrational numbers, and more example of irrational numbers is when you have your root 2. Your root 2 is equal to 1.41423566. It's continuous. This is an example of irrational numbers. Now we can say surd also. Surds are root of rational numbers. They are irrational numbers. But these are the example of irrational numbers. And equally, you can say when you have numbers or decimal number that does not terminate, they are irrational. Some of us may ask me that what of root 9? Root 9. Root 9 is a perfect square because square root of 9 is 3. Root 36. Square root of 36 is 6. All these are perfect square. Here is an example of irrational numbers.